Hello, festival goers of the internet. I'm the Festival Finesser, and today I'm giving you guys my unintentional annual post-festival season video. It seems like every year, around the same time, after the last festival vlog is posted, my next video after that is a video just kind of getting in front of the camera and just like sharing some thoughts and just letting you know where I'm at mentally and personally. Like people forget that I'm a person, like off the screen and behind the camera, and there's a whole other life that happens behind me. So I just wanted to get into some things and just kind of preach and just hopefully be able to share my story in case anybody else is kind of going through the same thing and battling with the same kind of stuff. So the title of this video is why I almost didn't go to Lost Lands, and there is actually nothing specific to the festival is why I didn't go. It is all kind of personal stuff, and there's a lot of layers to it. So the first, thing that I want to talk about that breaks into the layers of why I almost didn't go to Lost Lands is because shows were not hitting the same for me. The reason that we kind of established this was because we were just going out every weekend, to shows in New York City, when the tour season is coming through, right? Avant-Garde and Webster Hall. There's so many things to do in New York City, and we were just, I think, going to too many things. And what we also started noticing was that we were going to shows, and it's always just me and Bree, and we meet our homies at the function or wherever. But then we started noticing that it was like less and less of our friends at the function, and like a lot of our friends are just like fading out, and we're not seeing them as much, and they're just like growing up and growing out of it. And I totally get it. I understand. Like there's priorities, and we just, as you get older, it becomes more expensive, and other things become more important, and you have to kind of prioritize those things. And going to festivals and this lifestyle, going to shows every weekend, and just like chasing the music and the artist is very expensive. Obviously you have the ticket, but then the additional cost of going out. You have gas, tolls, parking, food, drinks, just to kind of like sustain yourself throughout the night, and traveling and things like that. So as we, were going to New York City a lot, we started realizing that we were actually having more fun and enjoy, and it just felt like more core in Philadelphia. And what was cool about Philadelphia is it just had obviously it had good venue. The venue is the Ave in Philly, like the main spot. So the vlogs were always good there. It was good content, good, production, good energy, big crowds. And the thing that was also cool about the Ave is a lot of the shows were free before 11, so that was also a big selling point because you could save that extra $30 that you would have had for a Webster Hall ticket or a $60 for an Avant-Garde ticket. That cost is automatically deducted from your night by going to the Ave and going to a free show. So that was very enticing to us, and it was good content, it was good homies, it was good energy, and it was just like more fun, So we started going to the Ave, but we also started feeling the cost of going out because even though it's a free show, it's a lot farther. It's almost a 2-hour drive, and gas, tolls. And the one time that really did it for me was going by myself and not using the Easy Pass because I'd already racked up such a bill from going to New York City so often, because that too is like a $30 toll between the two bridges and whatever the fuck else, and then obviously gas and whatever. So it's expensive to go to New York City just in tolls, and it's a 45-minute drive. It's not as expensive to go to Philly. It's pretty close. It's like $20, and when you pay that cash each time, you feel it. When you go through the Easy Pass, you don't feel it as much, but when you pay that money out of your pocket each time to travel, you definitely feel it a little bit more, and you understand like what it's going to cost you to go out. We really started feeling that cost of going out and going to Philly, and just the tolls, and even just the time. It was a lot of time, and there was a lot of time spent like rushing to and from work, from work to make it in time, and then back to home to make it back and work the next morning. And so after just a lot of that running back and forth and going to Philly and just like tiring ourselves out and just really kind of like breaking the bank and understanding how much it actually cost to get to Philly or even to New York, we started being more selective and just kind of like not going to every show, because I feel like we were oversaturating ourselves and just going to too many shows and just like trying to be out there and trying to network and like chasing the content, like feeling obligated to go out there and like get content because like the channel is being dry. Basically, it was like we had more self-control, and we stopped going to every show and going out every weekend and going to every after and going to every pre-party. Like we're only gonna go to artists we know we fuck with, like Murata, Sudden Death, Midnight Tea. Like just heavy, crazy, chaotic. It's not gonna, it's people that don't miss. So for a long time, we were saving, sacrificing, and just selecting certain shows. And every once in a while, we had to scratch the itch, and we'd find a good show that like, this should be a good show. What would happen was those shows would happen every once in a while, and each time we would go to those shows, we always found ourselves stressing. And because like I said, we get to work, and then you have a time frame to make it to the function, and you want to leave yourself enough time to get there, and we have a long travel time. Then you want to leave yourself enough time to park and get in line, and you can never really judge how long the line is, so you always try and give yourself at least an hour to get in without having to race the clock. And we always end up giving ourselves like a half hour between stops and gas and stopping for the bathroom. And all of a sudden it's like, fuck, we don't know if we're gonna get in, and then it's just like, and then you go to the show that you spend 3 hours at, that took you 4 hours to get to, and then you're driving back home, as the sun is coming up, up to make it to work the next morning, and like it just became a lot, and it just started feeling like we were forcing the shows. And obviously, like, something I've definitely learned and spoken about on the channel in these kind of videos before, when you start forcing things, it's when it starts to become not fun. And that's when you have to take a second to take a step back and reevaluate like what's happening and what you're doing and like why it's not fun and why. And so like realistically, what it was coming down to, it was just becoming too much, you know, the drive for, and it was just like more work than reward, you know. Like I was like, hey, my time is more valuable than it is just to like put this content that I feel obligated, this like invisible pressure. I talk about that in the last video. I feel obligated to do some of this stuff, and it's like, hey, no one is really expecting me to do this. It's just this thing that I've like made myself mentally feel. So basically, like after, you know, going to all these Philly shows, we basically kind of come to realize, you know, if we're trying to save money, that like the free show is never free, and the cost of going out was not worth the risk, because what would happen is, you know, obviously I'm Bad Love Brian, and these situations would follow me, and you know, the night that was supposed to end up being free now ended up being $200 or $300 because of like parking tickets, or you know, what was the other one that happened? We got a parking ticket and we got a flat tire. So it was like we went, and this is the show that was like, we were, you know, it was an ATL Alien show. ATL Aliens are not like the craziest heavy. They're a little bit weird, a little bit heavy, but it was good support. I was supposed to be doing media, and it was like last minute send. Like the day of the show, I saw who was playing support. I like shot my shot, sent the tweet, and Jaqui responded and said I could do media for him, who was playing support. He was playing pretty early, so I got out of work, rushed to pack a bag, you know, rushed home to pack a bag, rushed to the show, and now I'm like stressing because we left late and I'm barely packed and I'm charging my shit in the car. And then there was a situation with me being on the list because it was so last minute, and then I got there so late, I barely got to even film. And then when I, you know, I only got VIP access for that set, so then I was back in the crowd, and it was just so crowded, and there was like no pits, and it was just like, you know, being in a sardine can, I was so just like, damn, I can't even make a vlog right now. This isn't even content. This isn't even really enjoyable. And then after all of that, we came home and there was a flat tire, and I was like, bro, this is why I don't go out, is because I put myself at risk of spending money that I don't want to spend and don't plan on spending and don't, you know. So like that was the last straw. Basically, that was when we really realized that like if we want to save money, the only way that we can really ensure that we don't spend it is by not going out, because even when we were trying to be diligent about not spending money, these situations followed us, and it was just like, you know, right as you get out of a hole, you get right back in it. These financial holes that you just can't seem to dig yourself out of because you have, you know, bills to pay every month, but then when you have an additional bill or two that gets added on it, it just really like fucks you up, and then you get in more debt, and then in the interest, and like it just becomes a pile, a snowball, and it like it holds you, it weighs you down and holds you back. So I was being weighed down and held back. As I'm, you know, finally getting out of my financial hole and, you know, getting to the end of the tunnel, what is coming up? Lost Lands. You know, it's like 2 weeks, and I'm like, shit, I don't have a guest list ticket because, or a guest list opportunity, because I didn't really submit or apply for any media applications or influencer applications, and I really didn't try and shoot my shot with any artists. And like usually they reach out to me, and I feel very weird about like asking for guest lists to big festivals. You know, it's just like my camera was broken. That was another thing. I couldn't offer like really any service aside from like my GoPro or like mosh pit footage, which some people actually really encourage. And I'm sure if I actually shot my shot and reached out, I could have got to Lost Lands. But again, it was the timing. I've got media for Lost Lands before and guest lists, and you have to do it in a timely manner. I did not think the week of or 2 weeks before the festival was, you know, like it was a bad look. And I was just like, you know what? I didn't put in the effort, so I didn't get the reward, and that was my fault. I understood that, and I couldn't be mad about it. So rather than making a big deal and complaining and like, you know, trying to make a big like announcement video and look for sympathy, and you know, like, you know, I started hustling, and I was like trying to sell merch and really trying to just like promote and post hard and like SOS posts, like looking for a Lost Lands ticket, trying to buy. I didn't want to make a big deal about not going to Lost Lands. I didn't want to make an announcement. I wasn't looking for sympathy. I could not afford to go, and that was the end of that. You know, that was like, again, that was me being a bigger person, being responsible, and like, again, I wanted to make a statement by not going. I wanted to be, it's like, hey, I had shit going on, and I had to like, you know, be a bigger man, you know, and like, you know, like be an adult and take care of the shit that like is like holding me back so I can move forward. While I was raising the funds for Lost Lands, I basically started like dwelling on me, and I started realizing, I had this epiphany. I was like, yo, even when I'm raising these funds, that's barely affording my ticket. You know, $500 for a 3-day ticket and the pre-party, you know, and early arrival perhaps, you know, camping, whatever. Like it was like $500 just to get there, and that's not including travel and anything that costs, any like costs that come, you know, the cost of the show, you know, like food, travel, drinks, you know, just and whatever else happens in between, you know, getting gear, prepping for the festival, you know, like making sure that you're ready. So the fact that I actually didn't have time to prepare worked out in my favor. But it came to a point where I had to realize, like, you know, when it was like the week of Lost Lands, like Monday, I had to kind of like make a decision. It's like, am I gonna put all of this, you know, trip on my credit card and dig myself back in a financial hole? Or am I gonna, you know, sacrifice this trip and on my next paycheck get out of debt, you know, and be like finally putting money back into my savings account as opposed to just putting money to my credit card each week? Because that's what I was doing. I was trying to put a little bit into my savings and a little bit into the credit, so I could like kind of be leveling up at the same time, but I could just not keep up with the credit that was coming over here. So it was always just getting dumped into my credit so I could eventually be at zero and then start stacking my personal savings like it was at one point. So yeah, I basically swallowed that pill and I told myself, like, yo, I'm not gonna go to Lost Lands this year. And, you know, the 4 days is not worth the 4 weeks of financial digging. It just did not seem worth it, especially having done it 5 times and, like, you know, or however many times I did it. And, like, it was just, and that also, like, when I made that decision, I was like, you know, this is a smart decision. And I want to make a video, like, preaching about that. And this is that video, you know, like, even though I ended up making it, that's why I almost didn't make it. Because I still wanted to make this video talking about how, like, if you have, you know, things that are like in your personal life that you have to get, like, take care of those first. Prioritize your personal life first, and, you know, this festival life second. Because, dude, I was seeing people encouraging job loss, and it was like, I just quit my job to go to Lost, and the people in the comments were like, fuck yeah, me too. And I'm like, no, don't do that. That is not cool. Like, and I feel like that's the younger generation, and like I was like that at one point too. I see myself and all these kids going out to every show, they're at every fucking shit, every state, every underground shit, you know. It's like I was that person, you know. And now, being almost 30, that shit is catching up with me. And, you know, I wanted to lead by example and tell you guys, like, hey, get your personal life ahead. Get that shit figured out first, because that shit is forever. You know, the festival life is temporary, and at the end of the day, it's always kind of gonna be there. But this shit is forever. If you don't have this shit figured out first, this shit will not survive. And if you're only focused on this is gonna fail. And this is the important one, because this shit is forever. This is your life. You know what I'm saying? This is your livelihood. And again, like, while all of this was happening, right? All of the, you know, the payments and, like, the going out to shows and the show is not hitting, like, I start, you know, and I really started happening, like, as I was, like, thinking about Lost Lands, like, what am, like, you know, and, like, I kept saying something's got to give, and, you know, I can't just keep putting $500, $700, $1,000, like, trips on my credit card and then just paying them off over time. Because, like, I'm never going to save money. I'm never going to move up, you know? And this is, like, again, one of the main points I'm trying to convey in this video is, what do you have to show for yourself outside of EDM? You know, all of us have, like, oh, I make music. Oh, I'm a DJ. Oh, I'm a vlogger. I'm a content creator. But what do you have to show for yourself outside of EDM? You know, yeah, you're a candy kid. Yeah, you go to a lot of shows. Yeah, you're popular. But, like, do you have a financial job? Do you have a house? Do you have a place to live? Do you have a car? Do you have kids? Do you have other, like, bigger things? You know, or are you just going to be circling this? Because it is a small circle, you know, like, you know, the EDM world and real life are two very different worlds, and it's two very different, like, cultures and societies. And, like, I just felt like I'm becoming a cliche. You know, I'm almost 30 years old. I still live at home with my parents, and I'm a YouTuber. You know, like, people that, and I work at a grocery store. My car's a piece of shit. You know, like, and it's just like, that is like I said, a cliche that's in movies, and it's like, that is like the loser aspect of society. And, like, I've understood that. I accept that. And, like, yeah, I might be a loser to society's standards, but there's a few things that I can say about myself and my lifestyle that a lot of people can't. You know, I'm always having fun for the most part. I have a stress-free life for the most part. And I'm still chasing my dream, which a lot of people cannot say. And what's crazy is, like, a lot of people associate, like, you know, growing up with giving up on their dreams. You know, like, when you keep chasing and keep failing, and it's like someone tells you to grow up, you know, like, a lot of time when you grow up and you settle, you know, like, you settle down. I don't want to settle, bro. I want to, like, establish, you know. So, like, I'm gonna keep chasing until I establish, and I'm never gonna settle, you know. And if that means I'm never gonna grow up, then, like, fuck it, you know. Again, like, what do you have to show for yourself in the real world versus EDM? I think about that because that was something that I thought about, and when I realized, I was like, all I have to show for myself is a YouTube channel that's not making me a lot of money. It might make me, like, you know, look cool, and I have this, like, you know, all these followers and all these numbers, and, like, people know me when I stand out and I wear my merch. But, like, at the end of the day, when I come home and I'm not living that festival world, when I'm not living in that festival bubble and I'm back in the real world, no one's calling me festival flair. So people are not stopping me on the street. I'm not driving a fancy car. I'm not living in a fancy crib. You know, I don't have a lot of money. You know, I don't live a lot. Where's my chain? You know, where's my bling? You know, like, I don't have any of that. Look at my fucking chair. Look at my desk, bro. It's fucking broken. Fuck. You know, like, look at my chair. I've had the same fucking chair for 5 years in this fucking same room. You know what I'm saying? Like, and like all that shit, thinking about it, it's like, bro, something's got to give here. Now, what I'm kind of starting to realize, and like another key message I want to get into this video is like, it's okay to, you know, take a step back and take a break, you know, and like, I'm basically doing that right now. So if anyone else is thinking about it or needs to, like, this is your message, this is your time, this is the moment, the key, the sign to do it. And like, don't feel bad about it. Like I said, I want to make a statement, and I want people to stop chasing, you know, it's like people think that's all that matters, you know, and there are more important things than going to Lost Lands. And people will realize that the older you get, and it's something that like I'm starting to realize, and people need to hear it. You know, I feel like not a lot of people like think that way and say that, and it's like, I'm not hating, I'm being real, I'm being responsible, and it's like, yeah, I am growing up, you know, like I am slowly maturing somehow in some way. And it's like, yeah, we've been doing shit for 5 years, but I started this shit when I was like, what, 23? I was a baby, you know? Like, I just was about to graduate college with no, you know, like trying to take on the world, and I'm still trying to take it on. You know, so that is like my preaching points, you know. So now actually how I got to Lost Lands, you know, like kind of wrapping into the actual point of this video. So it's that Monday, and as I'm swallowing the pill of like, I'm not going, and I'm about to have this productive ass week, this is my paid time off vacation. So I had the whole entire week to scramble, and just in case I happened to like find a ticket, I had the time off to like find a ride and like be able to pack and like not be rushing and scrambling. And I still ended up rushing and scrambling, but all of that kind of ended up working in my favor, because as I was like basically accepting the fact that I wasn't going to Lost Lands, I was like subtly tweeting about it, like, oh, I'm not gonna go. It's crazy how everyone always assumes I'm going to Lost Lands. There was one tweet in particular, I wasn't like, you know, being a sad boy. I was just like, again, subtle hints for the real ones, because everyone, my DMs were going crazy. It was just like everyone kept asking, like, yo, you going? Can't wait to see you. Forever this has been happening, right? Since Paradise Blue, everyone's always like, see you at Lost Lands, see you at Lost Lands, and it was always such like a, like I have to be there now, and like that was always what kind of like made me feel like I have to ball out on this ticket. But again, all that other shit going on in my head, that's what made me say like, maybe I shouldn't go. And that's why I was talking about not going. And like, you know, I'm not gonna be able to go, I can't afford it, blah, blah, blah. So the reason I was able to afford it was because as I was sitting here at this desk, I got a text message from Cod Dubs shortly after I sent that tweet out. And he was like, yo, bro, you need a spot to Lost Lands? I got you. And I was like, what? Like, that would be crazy. He's like, yeah, not media, but just like, you know, get VIP, whatever. He's like, I'm pretty sure it's open till Dave's show. And I was like, fuck, I thought it would have been closed. And he was like, media and crew is, but not regular guest list. So he put me on the guest list, name, email, he locked me in. I was like, all right, cool. That's half the battle, you know? The other half of the battle now is getting there, and you know, getting a camping pass as well, which is also another costly thing. So again, I go into SOS mode. Who can help me with a ride to Lost Lands, leaving Thursday from the New Jersey, NYC, Connecticut area, right? And so I get some people hit me up. I'm coming from Pittsburgh, blah, blah, blah. Things that aren't really making sense. And I get a message from the gods. And this person that I didn't recognize at first. And he's telling me how he's coming from New Jersey. And the people that he was coming with bailed on him because they had a situation happen back at home and they can no longer go. So now he has 3 extra camping wristbands. And he's driving by himself from New York City to Lost Lands. And he's looking for company basically and someone to camp with. So I'm like, oh my god, this is the prayer, like the answer to my prayers, right? So what makes it even crazier is he starts talking about the pits and I'm like, we gonna light the pit up, and I'm like, wait a second, is this Edwin with the goggles from Forbidden Kingdom? And he's like, yeah, and I'm like, oh my god, I put it all together. When I was at FK, this dude had these massive ass like glow FX goggles that were lighting up the pit like crazy. You've probably seen him out summoning. You've definitely seen him. You know what I'm saying? You've seen this dude in the pit. If you've seen me, you've seen this dude as well. It has his big ass fucking flashlight, lights, whatever. And I recognized him. I was using his light because mine died. After Forbidden Kingdom, I go to New York City at the Mirage for Excision the next day. And who do I see in the pit lighting up this shit with his light, his fucking sunglass, whatever the fuck his lights, his glasses lights? Fucking Edwin. And I'm like, holy fuck. So when I put all of it together, I was like, yo, we had a little conversation. Like within 10 minutes, not even, within like 2 minutes of the conversation, I'm like, yo, this is gonna be a vibe. And what was also cool and like, you know, worked in my favor is because it was so last minute, I didn't have time to get new equipment. I didn't have time to really go shopping. And because we had forest camping, which again also made it enticing to go because it was something new and it was something you had to like show access to. So it was kind of exclusive and it might have been kind of a luxury. So it wasn't carside camping. It was something new. I said, fuck it. It's all the stars lined and it was too good of an opportunity to pass up, especially with all the money I was saving on the trip. The fact that I didn't have to get a lot of gear and like, you know, prepare. And like I didn't, you know, have time to like spend money. It was just like pack light. You're not car camping, so I just, you know, we didn't do food. We didn't do the cooler. We didn't do the grill. We didn't do the drawers. I was just walking up with bags. And you know, because of that, I didn't spend money on food. You know, I cooking food. I spent like one meal a day. And I spent like $100 at Lost Lands, $130, you know, and my whole entire 4 days of being there, which is pretty crazy. And so, you know, after all of that, I came home to a full paycheck, right? Because I was at pay time off. So like, that's how I was able to go to Lost Lands and not break the bank. And all the funds that I raised from like, you know, trying to go to Lost Lands actually put towards my summoning trip, which I was able to do at a more costly, like, you know, I was able to actually take some profit away from the funds I raised for Lost Lands and get a summoning ticket. So that's how I was able to do Lost Lands and like not go broke. And because right, it's like, how'd you go to Lost Lands? He's like, I was very cautious, and I was like, I cannot have any bad luck Brian situations. And half the fact that I feel like there is not bad luck Brian situations is because I didn't take my car, I didn't drive. Those are like half the situations arise from is the car and like when I'm driving apparently. Where am I at now? I got $400 left on my credit card, $200 on each card, so I'm basically out of debt. YouTube has been funding my dental bill every year, every month. YouTube hits, my dental bill hits after that, and it like pays. It's been paying that. We have the joint account that we have been putting money in weekly, and that is, you know, ever so slowly rising. And yeah, I just basically want to treat the channel more now as a business than a hobby, you know, because right now if we don't make money, it don't make sense. And I'm chasing every avenue I can to make money and level up. I'm not really going to be thinking about what kind of content to make. I'm going to be thinking about how I can level up my life and make more money and make more moves and you know, make smart decisions and invest and do stuff like that. And, you know, a lot of the videos that you're going to be seeing on the channel are going to be sponsored videos and paid content and advertising. You know, I'm really trying to, you know, I know I have something here and I'm trying to figure out how I can make me money. You know, it doesn't seem to be making me money just through YouTube, but like the sponsored videos has been doing well. I know affiliate marketing is a thing, and I'm really trying to do like, you know, online e-commerce. I've been doing my merch shit, you know, out of the trunk of my car, basically out of my garage, you know, for so long on the streets, at the fests, you know, shipping it, you know, by hand. I'm finally going to give it to a manufacturer and let someone else do all of the technical, you know, packing, shipping, and fulfillment. I'm just going to be doing the design and the creative side of things. That's what I've been doing most of my creating recently. That's how I've been staying creative. I have not been making a lot of videos, and the videos have not been really making me excited because the videos have not been making me money and performing like they used to. You know, it has to be a really big video and something really new and different and juicy. And I feel like within this video that I've spoken about all these topics, I can make a different video diving even deeper into each and just kind of going off and like going on to a more like ramble and a rant and kind of just like going off, you know, just going down a rabbit hole of my thoughts and not scripted like I'm doing now. I really flowed here, and I still am at 32 minutes. So I apologize for how long this was, but again, I had a lot of things to say, and you know, I have been very quiet and very distant, and you know, the real ones know where to look. It's all right in here. Everything you've been wondering and, you know, asking yourself and where I've been at and what kind of person I am, and like, this is where you get the real me. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no this is Brian talking. This is not the Festival Finesser. This is me talking to you and letting you get into my personal life and remind you that there is more than just what happens here at this desk in front of this screen in this room. There's a whole other life behind me that I am living that you don't really get to see or know about, and everyone thinks it's such a lavish lifestyle because I'm a content creator and have all these followers, like I said, blah blah blah. It's not. I am struggling, I'm surviving, we're getting by, and I have a very awesome support system behind me. And you know, I've been piggybacking off it for too long, and it's time to like make the leap, and I'm realizing that. And so I hope you guys can also realize that, hear that, see that, respect that, and you know, just know I'll be back, and I hope you guys are back waiting for me to return with whatever kind of content I decide to deliver. I am going to be trying to do more like tip stuff and really dive back into my roots and share information and advice and educate, rather than just getting into, you know, the same reviews and artists. And you know, obviously I love going out on adventures and doing the vlogs, but this is the next avenue, and really, what I'm really going to be dedicating a lot of my time to is designing merch and testing it and doing quality tests and just building an online brand that can be separate from the Festival Finesser merch, but still something that I want to wear, you know. And it's just not content based, not, you know, tie-dye and festival based. It's more underground, dubstep, black, you know, by the people, for the people, culture vultures, you know what I'm saying? So thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys are still watching, and if you are, I want you to comment, "Let the badness begin," on my shirt. And that's how I know who the real ones are and who watched up until this point. And again, I thank you guys. And I'll be around. I'll be in the shadows working on Instagram a little bit here and there. And I'm playing Northern Invasion 2024 in February. That's probably the next big show I'm going to be going to and talking about. We're going to be doing a review on the channel soon. But other than that, be on the lookout for, you know, me talking about this merch brand launch. It might be 2 brands, it might be 1. Dubstep Rhythm. You know, we're going to talk about it. You're going to see it. You know, it's been brought into the world, and you know, now it exists. So you're gonna see it grow, just like you've watched me grow on this channel. And That's it here. We're done. So again, thank you guys for listening on the Festival Finesser. Please call me Brian in the streets, and I'll see you guys for the next one, whenever it may be. Peace out. Love y'all.